tiny. What is up, everybody? Merry Christmas from your boy Bobby at Bobby's Breakdowns. And yes, we have one more in the holster for you. One more Christmas review, but we're doing it in stream form today. With that being said, let me introduce you to my guest, and then we will get into what we are talking about. Live and in person, not really. Welcome to the show, Loryssa and my cousin Mike and my cousin-in-law Loryssa, however you want to introduce. Yeah.
Hi.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Humbug.
There we go. Good start to the show with that one, Mike. But yes, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be reviewing and recapping and saying our favorite moments from the Santa Clauses season dos. Will they get a season 3? We'll find out our opinions on that. And yes, welcome to the stream. We will be reviewing the Santa Clauses season 2. And let's just go through some comments. Ryan's a little lost. When isn't he?
Hi, Ryan.
He says Loryssa. Oh, I thought he didn't say hi to Mike at first. Okay. Gavin just says LOL. And then Ryan says Gavin. And then Ryan says Mikey. Why'd you lowercase Mikey, Ryan?
Yeah.
I'm sensing some beef.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as you can tell, we got all festive. Me and Mike have very similar hats on. Laryssa's got the ears. Well, since we're showing off. Oh, there he goes. He fixed it for you, buddy. Oh, there we go. I got the Jingle Bell Rock. Yep. I love this thing. So great. But yes, all right. The Santa Clauses season 2 with Tim Allen. There was a lot of big stars in this season, which some of them did really good and some of them were kind of weird, but hey, it's all part of the game. All right, season 2, episode 1. We're already off to a hot start. It was a weird intro. We were talking about this off screen. We started off in 1307 AD, and I said in my review, we meet Mad Santa, ? How did you guys feel about the intro going back that far?
I didn't really know what to think, especially because it starts off with like Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it's like a cave, so I'm like, is it like caveman Santa? Like, what's going on here? So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was. What do you think, Mike? Or did you not see this one?
Okay, to set the record, I only saw probably the last 4 episodes.
Okay, all right. So you'll come in around season 3, episode 3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this gave me Santa's sleigh vibes with Bill Goldberg, evil Santa. He's trying to kill people. So I was like, I'm intrigued by this, and the actor who plays Magnus Antis. What a 180 from his character on Modern Family.
Oh my gosh.
Eric Stonestreet. When I figured out who it was, I was like, wow.
I had to look him up.
I know, he looked him up and I literally froze. I was like, excuse me?
I looked it up too, and I'm like, this is not the guy from Modern Family.
A guy from Modern Family.
But yeah, it was, wow. Like, what a 180 from his character. I was like, okay, he did great. Listen, Magnus Antis was phenomenal all season.
Oh yeah, one of like probably the best characters in like the Santa Claus series, definitely, hands down.
For sure, yeah. When they brought this series back, Gavin agreed. Fantastic actor, 100%. When they brought this series back as a TV show, I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah, I was nervous.
Yeah, because after Santa Claus 3, I was like,
yeah,
it was not good. but I was pleasantly surprised, so that's good. But what did you guys like better, season 1 or season 2?
I preferably liked season 2 better. I know
Really?
that's probably
Okay.
like not a popular opinion. I
Hmm.
just thought the storyline was a little bit better, and
Yeah,
I have my opinions
we'll
on
get to that.
Alan. As a Santa.
I well, Larissa did mention this earlier over text. They brought the show back. I'm glad it was Tim Allen coming back, because if it was another Santa Claus, I would have been like, this is not.
Yeah,
This is Tim Allen's role. Like, the Santa Claus is one of my favorite Christmas movies. The Santa Claus 2, it's an okay movie. Santa Claus 3 we won't get into, but if anybody else was in that role, like, I was looking into who they were considering for the role. Chevy Chase, Bill Murray. I don't think it would have worked.
no, it's
No.
something magical about Tim
Yeah.
Allen, especially because like that was like our generation. Like we
Yeah.
grew up with the Santa Claus. Like I watch it every year. It's one of my
Mm.
favorite movies. So when they said they were doing a TV show, I was super nervous because I'm like, I hope they don't screw this up. I hope like you never know what, especially with Disney, you never know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So I
They
was so happy to hear he was back, but I was like, does it have the same like feeling?
magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan called Tim Allen a thug. Well, I mean, Tim Allen did do Hard Time. Yeah. He's done Ryan. That's what you and Tim Allen have in common. Both been to prison. Did I let the cat out of the bag on that one? Oh no. Sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to tell everyone about your prison stint.
I'm very
Um. So a major part of this season is Scott Calvin wants to retire. Now he's been wanting to retire since day one,
which is
but
fun.
he wants to pass the reins to his son, Cal. And Cal is just not. How do I put this gingerly? Cal's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Yeah, good actor. He does his part very well,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
And
nah.
can we talk about the fact that Cal is 18? Like what Santa is 18 years old?
Oh yeah, true, true, true. Hey,
Like
you gotta start him young.
I mean I guess, but like when you think about Santa, he's like 80 years old in a sleigh, and Tim Allen, I don't really know how old he is, but
70.
He's 70 on the dot.
so he's got 10 more years to keep going. Like
Mm.
imagine 18-year-old Santa's coming to deliver your gifts.
He's skinny. He's like on TikTok. It's like,
Well, the
huh?
funniest part is like when they're like in the sleigh at one point, he looks at his dad. He goes, "Am I gonna look like you, or am I gonna look like Santa?" And he's like,
Mm.
"That's a great question."
Kind of one and the same, but
Yeah.
Ryan said, or Gavin said Ryan is a thug. Yeah, Gavin, for you wrestling fans, Ryan did about as much hard time as Dominic Mysterio did. So about maybe 5 minutes.
I'm touched.
That's overestimating, I think. Yeah. But yeah, we'll come back to Scott wanting Calvin to be Santa Claus. Now, we'll get to another character. Sandra, who I did not know until about last week is Tim Allen's real life daughter.
Which I think is so cool.
Makes sense, of course,
Yeah.
why she got the role. I wonder if she had to try out for it.
You imagine he was like, "All right, get in line." He's like,
Yeah. Hi, Dad. Yeah, that's great. You're next. Like, yeah.
just sold it. He was like, "Yeah, it's her. That's it." Or I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
how it could have been.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, yeah, I'm bringing my daughter, and I mean, Tim Allen probably makes his own calls. I wouldn't be surprised.
But it is
Tim
Disney.
Allen. What? Sorry.
It is Disney, so you never
Yeah.
know what's going
But-
on over there.
Tim Allen wasn't supposed to be Santa. Do you know the fact about the first Santa Claus movie?
I don't.
They have a strict. Now I don't know if it's like this anymore, but they have a strict no hiring of ex-coms policy.
Oh,
But they made an exception for Tim Allen,
that's fair.
which is good. Which is good. I'm glad they did. But
That's what was
I
for
mean, now I don't know. But I mean, Tim Allen. It was a long time ago when he got arrested. But Sandra her story was a little all over the place this season, to me at least.
yeah.
And she was out murdering the Easter Bunny. Tragic, I tell you.
Murder? Yeah.
Well, murder,
A
attempted
rabbit?
murder. I don't know. Yeah. Well,
Same thing.
But yeah, she stopped wanting to talk to animals, which I don't know why you would. Yeah, it was weird. Then another character we meet, which is Chris, aka Fluffy, aka Gabriel Iglesias,
I love him.
who was pretty funny this whole season. He's just a grown man who loves Christmas, but then he ends up getting bullied by Magnus Antis. Because of course.
He's so still humble about it too. He's like,
Yeah.
"Can I have a hug?" And the guy is like, "No, like
Mm.
get away from me."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, because he's like, can I get a hug? And Magnus Antis is like, approach. Like it's like
Yeah.
a military sergeant. He was like, all right.
But he's so like humble. He's just like a little kid this whole time, and he just like he's getting bullied by his idol.
Yeah, he's just a grown, and then he's getting bullied by a little girl who's just an evil who's just an evil gnome, not an elf, a gnome. Olga, who was a fantastic character also. But when I think it's Chris who is like, oh, is that one of your elves? And even Magnus Antis is like, I would not call her an elf if I was you. Just don't do that. Gnome, she's a gnome.
He's like, you will bite.
Yeah. And even he's scared of her at some point. So he's like, no, like no, like, and she's funny. Like at one point, I think he goes to sleep and she just like lays on top of him. He's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "This is how I sleep," and he's like, all right, whatever.
Together that whole time, she's like, "This is the only way I know how to sleep."
Yeah, he's like, all right, whatever. You can tell even he's annoyed. So part of the season is Betty, which Loryssa, go into your opinions on Betty.
I hate Betty.
Okay.
You know what it is? She just okay. So Betty is a very serious person. Obviously, she takes her role as head elf. She's no Bernard, but that's for a different discussion. She's just very annoying. She's like too much of a rule follower for me. Like when they sent her to like Cribble Crabble, I was like, go. And they even all the elves lined up and they're like, oh, it's a goodbye party. And they're all cheering because she's leaving, except her husband, Noel, which that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Have a married elf couple.
Yeah.
But I'm not fond of Betty. I mean, she has good intentions. She did the right things. She just annoyed me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think her character arc was better in season 1
100%.
as well. Yeah, I don't know. Some people just fell off. What was I gonna say next? I was gonna say something. Yeah. Oh, that's what I thought of. The actress who plays Betty was not there for a couple episodes, so I wonder if it was a scheduling thing or I don't know, because like she was missing completely from at least 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So
Crabble.
Yeah, maybe it's the storyline. Maybe she had to go do something. I don't know.
I definitely think you're onto something because that Crabble came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I was like, this is just weird to do that. Because she was in every episode of season 1, I believe.
Yeah, she was.
If not every episode, at least 5 of them.
Yeah.
But like I said, Santa Claus season 2, it took an interesting turn, but I think for the better. It was more. Season 2 was definitely more funny.
It was a little dark. It was a little dark at some points.
Oh yeah, of course.
Coming out with weapons.
Yeah, and of course it ends. Episode 1 ends with Magnus Antis, who we didn't know at this point was named Magnus Antis. He's like, "I'm going to take over for the good." It's like, oh boy, here we go. So on to episode 2. We see. I have a short review for this. We see Scott talking to Cupid, and when we mentioned this, Riley plays Riley, Cal's girlfriend, and then ex-girlfriend, and then girlfriend again, is playing with Cupid, and Cupid's tail is going all over the place like a dog. Yes, Ryan, I am. And then,
oh my gosh,
Ryan, I'll give you $20 if he knows. Okay. Like I said,
No.
I'll give you $20 if he knows. Told you. I tried. But oh yeah, then this is where we meet Olga. Chris tells Magnus Antis about Christmas stories. We see a gnome instead of an elf, and she is not happy. And like we mentioned before, Chris wants to give a hug to Magnus Antis, and Magnus is like, approach like a drill sergeant. It's like, and you can tell he's just so annoyed. And yeah, um, Sandra is trying to turn into a witch. It's like I said, her story arc was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess when you're Tim Allen's daughter, you can do whatever you please.
Anything floats. It was definitely
Yeah.
really weird because I get the whole like coming into herself, but like I was like, all right, so she's developed powers. They've all seemed to got like something going on, and she's a daughter of Santa. But then when she was like, "Oh, I'm a witch," I was like, "Excuse me?"
Mm.
Like it was
Yeah.
very weird.
And then she should have been charged for murder, but that's we'll get into that.
Murder.
She didn't really. She helped him disappear.
Okay, but he wasn't like dead.
And we'll get into who voiced the Easter Bunny later. Yeah, and she's possibly turning into a witch. And this is where Magnus and Olga, their chemistry is great throughout the whole season because Magnus is saying something, and Olga just slaps him.
Yes.
And Magnus goes, "That was deserved."
They have such a great, like, a weird, like, great bond. Those two.
Yeah,
Them two
and
together were a fantastic, like,
and they
pairing.
yeah, and they mention at the end they're like, "We can't be together anymore. We're just way too evil."
Toxic for each other, like they're breaking up.
Yeah, Olga was like, "We just can't do this anymore." And Magnus is like, "That's fair. I understand."
He's
And
just like,
Olga, yeah, and Olga calls the people peasants. And at one point, Magnus goes, "No, no, no." The kid goes, "No, it's ho, ho, ho." And he's like,
oh my
yeah,
god, little kid. Remember, that's the part where he's like giving out like the walnuts and the figs.
yeah,
to people.
yeah.
Everyone's throwing them in the garbage, and he's like, "Do you like this?" Like to the kid, he's like, "I want Roblox," and he's like, "What?" Like, I'll turn you into a Roblox.
And he did later on. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Time to get Bobby's gift.
Merry Christmas, Ryan.
Oh.
Merry Christmas. I don't.
I'd be worried about what that gift is.
Yeah, I am too. After the other night, he's all over the map recently, Ryan. He claimed I didn't acknowledge him, but I said hi to him 2 minutes earlier. You know, he doesn't know what's going on. Where are we next? And that's all I have for episode 2. Do you have? Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I have more. So yes, Scott tells Sandra she isn't getting enough attention from him. They eat ice cream together in a nice moment. Wait a minute. Ron Cavison's gonna be at your house soon. I wouldn't be shocked. He just walks right under this. No, he'll probably try to walk through it and then just get taken down. Ryan? Yeah, okay. In a nice moment, and then Scott says, "Oh, elves bells." I was like, okay. A lot of puns in this show. And it ends pretty much the same way with Magnus and his vowing to take Christmas back. You guys have anything on episode 2?
You missed probably Mike's favorite character was like around more, which was Gary.
Gary.
This is where they kind of talk about like the Nutcracker, and they're trying to hide it. He has like written on his paper like hide Nutcracker evidence. He's like on his list.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like Gary.
Reminds me of how you act sometimes, Bobby. Gary.
Where is Jay Silva? He had to take his daughter to the doctor, so unfortunately, I give a pass to the daughter, but I do not give a pass to him, especially him being a Detroit Lions fan and me leaving Jared Goff on my bench, who went for 47 points. I'm starting to turn into Magnus Antis at this point.
I'm dead.
Yeah, it just makes me furious. But anyway, that's another story for another stream. Did I tell you guys who I'm playing in the first round of the playoffs?
Nope.
Take a guess. In the family league.
Your mom.
Yes.
Oh wow.
All right. Where did? Oh boy. All right. I seem to be missing episode 3 on here. Huh. Interesting. Do you guys have any? While I look for that, do you guys have anything on episode 3? That's weird.
That's where the Easter Bunny shows up. Isn't it episode 3? No.
Wait. I don't.
Yes. So the Easter Bunny's around in there because I have in my notes like they made him do like the chubby bunny. He's like, peeps are not meant to be eaten because I wrote that down because I was like, I felt that.
That's weird. I don't have 3 or episode. Wait, okay. This is weird. All right. So it goes on my notes on my iPad. It goes 1, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah.
3.
So like episode 3 was like a fast forward. Like it's been 3 months already, and like Cal's like trying to fly the sleigh, but he's like terrified.
Yeah.
Magnus captures. This is when Magnus captures the Easter Bunny. And he's like, "You're gonna take me back to the North Pole," and he was like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "All right, then we're gonna make you eat all these peeps," and he's like, "No."
Ryan, have you ever heard of urgent care? Like, he says doctors. What? I'm pretty sure urgent care is open not 24/7, but like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're open.
Figure it
Pretty
out.
sure. I'm pretty sure they're open Sundays at least till like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I have for some reason in my iPad notes it's ordered like the Fast and Furious franchise.
I'm dead.
It goes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3. I don't know. So we kick off with Magnus Antis and he's trying his magic and it's not working. I do remember this scene.
Yeah.
And he's getting angry.
With the
He's
cane,
trying
like,
yeah. And I wrote in here he's trying to act like Thor with his hammer.
Yeah. That's
Like,
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's
like,
trying so hard.
And it's like not even like moving. He's like, I saw it move. It's shaking. And Olga's like, no, it's not.
Olga's like, it's not working.
He's like, stop.
Yeah, and we see him with his little gnome, Olga, and then Olga just breaks a cane in half. She's very strong, very, very strong, very angry. And like I said, Scott is trying to teach, and like Loryssa said, Scott is trying to teach Cal to become Santa, and it is not going well. Yeah, Cal is just, and then I think, is it later on they come in for, is it the season finale when Sandman comes in for a review?
No, I think it's actually this.
Or is that episode 5?
That would be. If I'm looking, no, I think it might be this one.
This episode 3? He came in that early?
I mean, from what I'm looking at.
Well, let me see. We see.
Maybe 3 or 4. Sandman shows up in episode 4. I have it here.
Okay, I was 1 off. Okay, that's not bad. All right, so Magnus and Olga are at Chris's shop, and they mention how they can get a ride, and he downloads the app of Uber to try and get a ride, and of course, who is it? Magnus mentions how Easter is almost here, and of course they kidnap the Easter Bunny, because of course they do. And the Easter Bunny, voiced by Tracy Morgan. Took me about 2 seconds.
What did they have to do to get him to do this?
I feel like him and Tim Allen are friends. I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, that makes sense, because I was like,
I wouldn't be shocked.
interesting that he's showing up here, or he just had some free time and was looking for.
Yeah, why not? Like, because like I told you earlier, he voiced the Ghost in Spirited, and I'm like, is that Tracy Morgan? Like, Oh, he says right, Gavin. Gavin won't agree with you. He thinks you did jail time, Ryan. Can't say I blame him. All right. Where are we here? We see Cal and Sandra talking. Cal is trying to convince himself he wants to be Santa, but Sandra isn't buying it, and that's a major plot point to this whole season.
Yeah.
Cal does not want to be Santa Claus.
He wants to go be with Riley and go to college and get like a regular 9 to 5 and be happy.
What is it? North Pole U or whatever, where they get all the brightest doctors of the bunch.
Oh
I love the part where they're like, "Have we ever checked her credentials?" And they're like, "Well, she went to NPU."
Yeah. It was like North Pole U or North Pole Institute.
Northern.
What is it?
I thought it was like Northern and Northern. I don't remember.
Actually, that might be it. That sounds oddly familiar. Northern and Northern. It's something like that. It's just like, have we checked her credentials? And she's like, no, you don't have to. Don't worry. And she just leaves abruptly. It's like, yeah. So, and this was this was when I was like, this show's a little weird. It's good, but it's a little weird. We go to like a nightclub of the North Pole.
Yeah.
And Scott is just chowing down on ice cream with Cal.
Yeah.
And I wrote in here, the Easter Bunny comes in, who I realized is voiced by Tracy Morgan, and then Sandra turns that Easter Bunny into an actual bunny. A murder. Listen,
Not a murderer.
I'm just saying.
She just can't control herself.
Listen. I think it would hold up in a court of law. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying he's breathing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then Easter plays a pivotal point in this show, believe it or not.
Which is very odd.
Yeah, they were
Cool.
going through every holiday until they got to Christmas in the final episode. Cal and Sandra are worried they ruin Easter. Cal just wants to see Riley. They devise a plan to see her. Cal meets Riley, and it's all magical until Riley wants absolutely nothing to do with him. Story of my life. I'm just kidding.
He literally missed his birthday by 2 days.
Oh yeah, that was what it was. Yeah, and I literally wrote in here, Riley wants nothing to do with him. Sad. Cal, in anger, throws the Santa coat behind him, and who is right there to pick it up? Magnus Antis. He puts it on. He feels the power, and then Scott, back at the North Pole, goes, "Uh-oh." And that's how episode 3 ends. Go ahead.
That was crazy. I'm like, you know what? This guy Cal, like, he's just like he's a typical 18-year-old boy. Like, he just wants love. He doesn't want to think about anything else. So, of course, he's, irresponsible, which we learned from the first movie. He's not the brightest duck in the bunch. So,
Okay.
Him leaving that behind, I was like, interesting. And, of course, he's right there to grab it with Olga by side.
Of course, where Magnus goes, Olga goes.
Yeah.
Ryan, or Gavin, don't enable Ryan. He thinks he's correct with these dark thoughts, but he's not.
Yes.
All right, so let's go Fast and Furious. Let's go back in time on my iPad. Episode 4, here we are. Do you guys have anything to add to episode 3? Is this when you started watching, Mike, or is it episode 4?
It was around the time I started watching the Easter Bunny.
No, I wasn't there yet.
Yes, you were.
No, I was there when I can't jump ahead. I can't say, but Easter Bunny was not a bunny.
Yeah, that was episode 3. So now we're on 4.
No, the yellow thing. That's when I was there. I can't.
Yellow Snow?
This is Marriage.
No, the lemon.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh. So yeah, episode 4. We start off with Magnus Antis doing magic with Gabriel Iglesias. 2023 is a weird year, but anyway. And the evil gnome. I kept writing evil gnome. I don't know why I didn't say Olga, and I said he's planning something new for Christmas. Okay, we go to a meeting about the Easter Bunny disappearing, and the North Pole is going to do Easter. Yeah, so Cal and Scott step in and handle Easter while the Easter Bunny's MIA. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Sandman drops in and does a review on Cal, and but they don't want Sandman to know they are doing Easter, so I think they like put him to sleep or something.
They got they were like, oh, I wonder what this person wants for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like a blanket, a pillow, a teddy bear, the earmuffs and all that. So
Yeah, and he wakes up and he goes, "Oh, Cal did a great job flying the sleigh, huh?" And he's like, yeah, totally." Because Sandman knows he's asleep. It's like,
the crazy part about
yeah.
that is so Santa has to do also the Sandman's job, and it's like, why are you doing your job? Maybe because
and I believe it's the same actor from the movies.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
which is interesting. Which is cool though. I'm glad they brought him back. He was good. Cal does good, but the plan almost goes bad of them taking care of Easter. Now I believe, don't they cause a little chaos? Don't they break into a house on Easter and the alarm goes off or something? Did I imagine that?
Or no, that was in his trial run of
Oh yeah, they're imaginary, but somebody sees them and he's like, "You can see me."
Oh yeah,
They're like,
the hat. So
Yeah.
so Magnus can see him because they were trying to hide from him. And
yeah,
he puts the hat on and he's like, "You with the bunny hat or something like that." He's like,
yeah,
"Oh, you see me?"
and they're like, "Uh-oh." I believe that's how this episode ends. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're jumping ahead a little, but yeah. Um, Carol and Sandra have a mom and daughter moment when they take out their anger and they bond in the process. They find the eggs also.
They
But
place up. It was
yeah.
like a rage room.
Yeah, I've seen that before. But Larissa, please tell us your thoughts on Carol and her previous employment.
So, as an educator, I am, of course, it's a movie, but as an educator, this is how I think. I'm like, oh, so Carol was principal, and Carol had a very good check coming in, and she just kind of left her job to go be Santa Claus's wife, which baffles me because she had probably had tenure. She was a principal, and a guy exactly. She knew for 2 weeks. She's like, I'm in love. We're gonna leave. And you're a principal? How irresponsible.
It was at least 2.5 weeks. Come on.
It was irresponsible.
and go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and to be like, oh, you're Santa Claus? Sure. What is happening?
Yeah.
And then you just abandoned, did she resign? Did she leave? Did she retire? What happened? She just left the kids?
And then in one scene in the Santa Claus 2, remember the skateboarding scene?
Yeah.
She's like, look into my eyes. What do you see? He goes, darkness. She goes, correct. She's like, it's your future. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was I have my opinions on her. Again, it's a movie, but I'm just like, you really left your principal job to marry Santa?
Of course.
I mean, hey, the benefits are probably great for Santa. He works 1 day a year.
Well, clearly this time he's working 2 times a year.
Well, that's true. He's doing Sandman. He's doing Easter. Yeah.
But
next is Arbor Day.
Easter, I just love when all the elves are panicking and they're like, what does the eggs have to do about Jesus? Does Jesus eat eggs? How does he even like his eggs? And they're like all freaking what about the eggs? We don't know what to do.
Yeah. We see Magnus Antis make Santa land. What did I say? Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing. We see Magnus Antis and he snaps his fingers, and with all the magic, it makes Chris's Santa land very nice, and everyone's coming. And Chris is like, "How did you do that?" But then, of course, Magnus Antis makes fun of Chris for owning a Christmas shop.
He's like, "Oh, it's okay. You got bullied when you were younger. It's
okay." Yeah. Magnus Antis was just devious, in my opinion, but he was great.
So I can't get over it.
Stone Street.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Stone Street. Yeah. Scott gets a hat that makes him invisible, or so we think. Scott has a flashback to Antis, and he's worried about what is coming next.
Oh, and he knows the song.
Oh boy, you want to sing it?
My stepmother will boil me. My stepmother. What is
wants to boil
My
me.
stepmother wants to boil me. Great song.
He's been singing.
It's been stuck in my mind ever since. My stepmother wants to boil me.
I don't know how that even came about.
Shrek.
You know how he is. He gets a song in his head and he never forgets it.
Mike Magnus, how that song even started.
Mikey will be singing that in April. I can guarantee you.
He still calls me Jacqueline. Jacqueline, what's her name? Josephine.
Oh, Josephine. Like Jack.
Sorry.
Hey, look.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. Such a good movie. No.
Wait, I think I sent you the screenshot. I texted my buddy Joe Farrow. I said, "My dearest Josephine," and he said something I will not repeat, but he goes, "But I'm intrigued. Continue."
You were not around.
Yeah. All right, so
I messaged somebody. I said, "My dearest," and they were like, "Are you drunk?" No. They were like, "Oh, okay." So, going back to the Santa Clauses, we see Magnus Antis doing a show, and he plants gifts under people's seats. And of course, one of them is a picture of Guy Fieri for reasons. Yeah, somebody really loves Guy Fieri.
And the guy next to him had the potato with the eye. What is going on here? That's what you're
just for. This season was just all over the map, but it was great. Scott and Cal successfully deliver all the eggs while Magnus wakes up and can sense Scott is back. Magnus tries to trap Scott, but Carol gets him out. So at least Carol's good for something. Maybe not being a principal, but yes. He comes face to face with Magnus Antis for the first time, and Magnus Antis can see him through the imaginary hat. Magnus throws a snowball. Pretty good aim. He hits Scott right in the shoulder, and Scott and Carol run to end the episode. That was the end of episode 4. Yeah. Thought it would be the end of episode 5 to set up, but
episode 4. That was interesting. I have some questions with that one. Why didn't Magnus just jump on the sleigh? He was just like, no. He could have totally ran.
I'll get you. It's like every movie villain. I'll get you.
Or I like the part where they're going to do the eggs, and one of the elves is like, "Oh, there's Santa magic in America," and the one elf goes, "Why is it always America?" And I was like, you know what? I feel that honestly, it would be America. And yeah, that was pretty crazy. I just want to know, he could have totally jumped on board, and but I guess keep the story going.
Well, if he kills Santa, I mean, story over,
That's true. And then when Carol's like, "Gary, get my jetpack," and he's like, "Gary, get my jetpack. Gary, do this. Gary, do that."
Yeah.
It never ends.
Now wait, Gary's the one with the eye patch, right?
The one with the gambling problem.
Yeah, he's like a drunk or a gambler. Yeah.
Because he sold the nutcracker, remember, to pay his gambling debt on the dark web.
He's just so dead inside, that guy. I don't know why.
Funny, but
yeah, he was good. So anything more to add from episode 4?
Not that I can see.
Besides Magnus Antis, who should have been an NFL quarterback, but he chose the evil instead.
Yeah, I'm good with that. It was just a pretty interesting episode, It had a lot in it. That's one thing, these episodes are compacted with a lot. Try to even take notes on what's happening. I'm like, stop, pause. Yep. There's a lot happening at once, and I was like, oh gosh, I can't keep up.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was a very action-packed season for sure, and we'll talk if we want a season 3 and what it wants to be about, and we'll get into rumors about that. Yeah. So episode 5 begins with, we see Chris and Magnus Antis on TV because Santaland is going well, the attraction, and this is when Laryssa's favorite character makes her
Betty.
return. Betty.
She's like in the hotel
She's-
room, the motel.
she was in like a cheesy motel,
La Quinta.
and she sees them and the gnomes and knows something is wrong.
The little cup just like drops.
Yeah. Gavin says, feel like they shot it like a movie but released it as a TV show. That's a good opinion, actually. Yeah, I could definitely see where
That's
you're coming
fair.
from with that. Yeah.
That's fair.
And I mean, it was still good, you know. We see Scott trying to recover, and this is where we find out the doctor's credentials are just not that good. He's trying to get back to being Santa. Carol wants Noel to tell her about Magnus Antis, but Betty returns and tells the story about how they all formed together back in, what was it, 1307 AD or whatever?
It was actually, I think I wrote it down. It was like 1197 or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, back, yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah, well before I was born. Mike was around then, but not me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wait, now, Mike, do you know what's going on in the show right now or no?
Well, that's,
Okay.
that's where I sort of pick it up.
Okay. Good.
And he gets his
So-
mustache. He gets everything back.
Oh yeah, because
You start curling. Yeah, so
it looks like you're trying to sell me a cruise or something like that. A timeshare. So funny.
so funny, yeah. So we see Scott trying to recover. He's trying to get back to being Santa. Betty tells the story about how they turned on Magnus Antis and fought the good fight back then.
And then she wants
And
to...
what happened?
No, I was like, sorry. Then she wants to like hand in her card, and she wants to resign because she's been so bad. But he rips it up.
Naughty.
Oh yeah, I love how they brought that back from like the original, like when they showed the card, like it's permanent, it's etched in stone, and he's like, yeah, etched in stone, and he rips, he's like, and she's just like, her eyes are like this big.
Yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
Good. We see Cal having flashbacks. We also hear Betty telling the story of Magnus Antis and how he's evil. Well, of course he's evil, but they don't know why. Sandra is trying to get the Easter Bunny back. So there's Scott's trying to save Christmas. Sandra's trying to save Easter. And she learns who Magnus Antis is because did they ever have a face-to-face, her and Sandra? Or him and Sandra?
I don't think so, because she was with
Maybe,
the whole time.
Yeah, maybe at the very end. Her character was weird to me. I don't know. Wasn't a fan.
Very odd this season.
Yeah.
She was like do like those changes, like those life changes.
Yeah.
Like I totally get what they were trying to do because like at one point the mom goes, "Oh, she's going through puberty," and that's kind of like what it feels like for someone that age. Like you're like getting angry, you can't control things, and you know she kind of has like that mentor that's like, "All right, let's calm down, let's figure it out." She's got an attitude with everybody, but I was like, "Girl, if you don't sit down somewhere."
Yeah, she is crazy in this season. I was like, yeah, you know. So yeah, maybe at the end, Sandra and Magnus had like a face-to-face when Magnus was like good, maybe.
Oh yeah.
We see Cal trying to fly the sleigh, and his eyes are closed shut, of course, because you know.
Oh, he steals the reindeer.
I know. I love that. He's like, "I'm just a boy, like coming to you." Like that line. What was it? I wrote it down because it was so fun. I'm just a boy standing in front of two reindeer, trying to figure my way. Like in those like romantic movies.
Yeah, and they're
like, staring at him like.
Yeah.
Remember the names?
I do.
Oh, okay, yeah. So no, I'm just reading my notes now. We find out the elves trapped Magnus and Olga back in the day. Magnus doesn't know who they are, but he calls Noel not Bernard.
Yes,
which is a nice reference. I wish he would have shown up this season, but honestly, I don't think I would have been edited.
What were the other names?
I love Bernard. He was like Twinkle or something like that. He was just giving names, and they're all like, or Hickory Dickory.
Hickory Dickory.
Yeah, Hickory Dickory.
He's like,
not Bernard.
And I love Bernard. Like, y'all need to leave Bernard alone. That was like my first crush in life. It was like
I
Bernard.
wish he was on an episode of WWE recently.
my God.
I kid you not. Wait, I have to look that up now.
love
I
Bernard.
think it was Bernard who appeared.
Oh, old.
What's his name in real life? Do you know off the top of your head?
I just know him as Bernard. I never looked.
Okay.
Let's see.
I can find it easily. Yeah, because like somebody messaged me back then.
David Krumholtz.
Yes, David Krumholtz. Now, oh yeah, he was in Oppenheimer.
Oh,
Now I
he's
remember
old
that.
now. Never mind.
How old is he?
I mean, he looks like old.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he played the role as a child. Okay, so he was on an episode of WWE Raw in 2021
45.
as a fake Drew McIntyre. That's a wrestler. Yeah, he came out because Drew McIntyre is in obviously good shape, and fake Drew McIntyre was not. So, and I had no idea who this person was. I just thought it was a random guy. But somebody messaged me the next day, like, "You know who that was, right?" I'm like, "No." They were like, "Remember Bernard from the Santa Claus?" I'm like, "Yeah." They were like, "That's him." I'm like, "There's no way." I looked it up. It's true. So they freeze Magnus Antis, and that was the last time anyone saw him. For now. We see Chris and Magnus. Obviously, we're in real day now. A standoff takes place between Cal, Magnus, and Olga, and of course, Magnus and Olga win. They tie up Cal, and I'm sorry, they tie up Cal and shrink Cal
Into like a
into,
nutcracker.
or was it like a gingerbread? It might be a nutcracker.
It was a nutcracker.
And
It was
Chris,
a nutcracker.
And Chris was also there.
Yeah, Chris was just tied up, just his head down.
He's just like, what do I do? He's like, I love you.
Yeah, oh yeah, and Chris still loves Magnus Antis, even though Magnus Antis wants nothing to do with him. Gabriel Iglesias' character is named Chris Kringle. I was shocked by that. Is his actual name, last name Kringle? I know it was named Chris, but I
Don't know. It's a
I
great.
didn't know about his last name, truthfully. So
I mean, it makes sense, but I feel like it's not.
yeah, it's a little too on the nose.
At least they wanted to reference that, like kind of like with Sandra, Sandy Claus.
Yeah, so Gavin says yes. Okay, I mean he probably legally changed his name, I would think. Scott is slowly getting his powers back, and he's heading to Chicago with Carol to get Cal. And that's how the episode ends. On to the season finale, unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
Let's talk about La Befana and how she played a role in kind of capturing Magnus as well. Because remember, they went to Legendaries and like, please help us. And they're like, we're not getting involved. And La Befana was like, oh, we can't help you. And then Noel goes, oh, look, she left a bag of her laundry too on the way out. And it was like full of like all like the Easter Bunny stuff, like like a piece of everybody's things. And if it wasn't for her, they would have been trapped.
But isn't that where we find out that the Easter Bunny was turned into a lemon?
Oh yeah, they're
in
like
little cottage.
They're like, oh, how's it going? And like the lemon's like moving, and they're like, it's going good. Because she's trying to do like that transformative like spell, like to turn it around. But yeah, I think La Befana really came out in there. She's a weird character for me.
Yeah, I didn't take much notes on her. I was just like,
She's an Italian like folk tale. Like she doesn't do Christmas, I believe. I don't know like the whole story, but she does bring like presents to like kids on like a certain day. She's kind of like Santa Claus, but not exactly.
Italian.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all would know better than me. You know?
I learned that in like high school. I took Italian. I don't remember.
But that's kind of it for me. When it comes to that, I just like La Befana. Like she really was the one that, really helped out when nobody else was like getting involved. They're like, it's like at work. Oh, I can't go against my coworker, and it's like you could, but yeah.
Yeah, it might cause some pain in the end. Then an orange. Okay, yeah.
I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah, I don't. 6 episodes. It's a lot to remember. Gavin just recently watched it, and he watched both seasons just fully through. So I fully take he believes. Well, I asked him in like like the week of Thanksgiving. I said, "Have you watched the Santa Claus yet?" He goes, "No," and I refuse to start until at least Friday
Oh,
because he's one of those. He's one of those. So I have a lot of notes on the season finale. So
yeah, me too.
uh, we start off in the North Pole and jump in if you got anything or if I forgot anything. Magnus Antis is teaching the Olga how to laugh evilly. And then Noel says, "Let them come for a fight."
Yeah.
Hold on 1 minute. Respect, Thanksgiving.
I would love to.
Gavin, it's a poor time for a spell check, buddy. Poor time. He'll probably type it again. And Noel says, "Let's let them bring the fight to us." There he goes. Respect Thanksgiving. There we go. Scott and Carol go to Chicago to save Chris and Cal, of course. Chris is starstruck by Santa, of course. And Chris tells them all about Magnus Antis. We see Scott transform plastic reindeer into real reindeer because, of course, Santa can just do that. You know, Chris asks to come, and after a little arguing, Scott just says, "All right, fine." But both Santas are really annoyed by Chris. And then I do have some notes on La Befana. Is that how you say it? Okay. They go to La Befana to try and find out if Cal will be back, and she's like, "I don't know," that kind of thing. And this part really threw me off. Magnus Antis goes, "The Earth is flat," and I'm just like,
yes, I was like, "Oh, that's so controversial. Like, are you allowed to say?" I have that too, and I was like, "Ah."
I was like,
I know.
It makes no sense to add this, but Magnus Antis is so hilarious. Why not?
Because he's just looking at the globe and he's like, "We all know the Earth is flat," and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know. That was risky."
Earth is not flat, folks. But anyway,
or is it? We'll never know.
Stay tuned.
That's next episode.
Yeah, next season. We finally have a standoff in Santa attire. But it's not the standoff you think. Scott is like, "That's my desk." And Magnus uses his power to transform. What does Scott call him? An annoying something or other?
I forgot to. It's like three words.
Yeah, and Magnus.
Weird creepy.
Yeah.
Weird Santa creep.
Yeah,
weird Santa creep. And Magnus is like, "I'm going to put that on my desk now." And he does. And Scott's like, "I'm going to start moving things back to where I want them." And Magnus is like, "No, don't do that." And it's like, this guy is so evil, but he's complaining about Santa moving the desk around. I'm like,
you know what that reminded me of? Like, do you know WandaVision? Like when the two visions meet and they're just talking instead of fighting things.
Do you know who he kind of reminded me of? Remember Jason Momoa from Fast X? How the villain he was? He's so evil at some points, but then you see him in a scene where he's painting his nails, and it's like, what? Like he's so evil, but at some points he's just so like nonchalant.
Eric Stonestreet did great, but I think Will Ferrell would have been a great Magnus. No,
he's way.
I feel like the way
he's too funny. He's too like at least like. Yeah. I don't think he would have been able to do off like that deep, like serious voice. At least.
Yeah.
Like he came in pretty like ready to like fight.
Just the humor aspect of it, though.
I don't know. They had a lot of humor in this, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Eric Stonestreet. The humor he brought to it was just it added so much to it. Will Ferrell maybe as Jack Frost, would that have made the movie bearable? I don't know.
They would have to really give that an all because, like I said, I mean, we both agreed like the Jack Frost version tanked really hard. Even though I love the guy who played, Jack Frost, it just was not the vibe. It killed the vibe completely.
Yeah, no, it was not good. Okay. Where are we?
The death scene.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Flat Earth. We finally have a stand-up. Oh yeah, Magnus is complaining. No, Noel brings the group Gnome to come help Santa, and
Nope.
Magnus thinks they're there to help him. But what happened?
No, he called them the Gnomies, Magnus.
Oh, the Gnomies.
The
Yeah,
Gnomies are here to help.
yeah. And then Magnus takes a sip out of Santa's mug. I would disinfect that if I was you, Scott Calvin. You never know. But
Thousands of years old. Like that's nasty.
yeah. And then we see, we talked about this scene off screen. Olga comes to the North Pole. Betty challenges Olga to a fight. Olga has an axe. Betty has a toy axe.
It's a toy
It's a
sword.
sword.
A little toy
Oh,
sword.
it's a toy sword. I'm sorry, toy sword. And how does this fight end? In a draw somehow.
Yeah.
In reality, Olga wins, but
There's no way.
kid show. Yeah. So, we see Olga start to come around about the North Pole. Olga and Betty are becoming like besties.
So weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Magnus criticizes Scott about pushing Cal too hard to become Santa. Now, this is where Magnus started to be like, oh, he has a point. Because he's like, you don't know what everybody wants for Christmas. And he's like, yeah, I do. He goes, then why are you trying to push your son so hard to be Santa? And it's like, ooh.
Especially at 18.
Yeah, it's like reality check. Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like then everything stops. It's like, ooh. And like I've said, we're jumping back and forth, but this is how it goes in the show. Olga and Betty become friends, and they're making toys and having fun and all that. Eventually, Magnus gives up and he puts himself in jail for reasons. And Chris comes and says, "Hey, you could still work at the shop." And Magnus is like, "Genius idea. We will split the profits 70-30." And then Scott looks at him, and Magnus is like, "Okay, 50-50." And then he goes, 60-40. Because Magnus is just trying to steal everything. So we're towards the end of the episode. This is kind of like the last scene, kind of. Scott gives Cal a prom, and he brings Riley to the North Pole while the elves sing. It looks like a bar at the North Pole, but
Yep.
and then we finally get to it, and Scott's like, "You have time to be in the real world. Enjoy it. It will be here when you get back." Olga says goodbye to Magnus, and Magnus is like, "I'm going to miss you, even though I despise you." And we mentioned it before. They were like, "We can't be together. We're way too evil together."
Toxic.
Right.
Yeah, we're toxic. Yeah, and it's like they're like, "It's fair. It's fair."
Would you say
Noel,
bring out the worst in each other?
yeah, we bring out the worst in each other. It's like, yeah, you do, but it's funny. Noel and Betty are finally going on their honeymoon, but Scott mentions how Curtis and Bernard went to Cribble Crabble and never came back. So I wonder if that's the end of Noel and Betty. Heck, this might be the end of the show in general, for all we know. Betty and Noel leave. 7 months later, on Christmas Eve, we're at Christmas time. We see the show going on as Chris and Magnus are playing music. Magnus is playing the saxophone.
Yeah.
Of course, and he's doing a great job at it. And we see the Calvins enjoying the music, and I'm not sure which one of them, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta go." And he's like, "All right." They take off, they do their thing on Christmas Eve, they're flying through the air, and we hear Scott say, "Merry Christmas," and that is how season 2 ends.
Yeah.
What did we think of season 2 in general, guys?
I mean, can I just backtrack to like
Yeah, I wanna
6
backtrack,
because a
too.
lot happened in there. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
you
like.
missed
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
No, he didn't miss.
I miss. You know what, Mike?
There was just
Coming
a
from a
lot
guy.
of.
You know what, Mike? You missed the first 3 episodes. How about that?
True, but there were some things that in the 6th episode I wanted to mention here.
No, I
Go
think
for it then. Go for it.
there was a
I
lot.
asked for every episode, and yeah, go for it.
That's represent.
There's a lot of funny things. Like I said, this like I feel like was for the adults too. Like you
yeah.
see like these remakes, and it's like, oh my gosh, because it's meant for kids. Like they actually did really well. Like I could definitely see this for kids. I could definitely see this for the adults. So I really enjoyed that part. I just liked all the really funny moments, like when Chris meets like Santa, like Scott Santa, and he's like Magnus and like Olga are doing bad things, and Mrs. Claus is like, well, "What have they been doing?" He's like, "I'm so glad you asked. They've been ordering movies on demand like crazy." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Let's see. And then they did the flashback because remember the amulet was actually the hot chocolate, which Magnus was looking for, and they did the flashback to Judy, who, is not here. And I'm sad they didn't bring her back, but I guess because she's not an elf, like she's grown up now. Like Bernard was different. I guess that's why they can't, because she was supposed to be a kid. Or, I would like to think she's spending another 1,200 years perfecting the hot chocolate again.
Sure, yeah. Judy never made an appearance in either season.
Which that sucked.
Interesting.
Because we had Charlie come back, so it was
Yeah, Charlie was season 1 if I remember, but
Yeah.
he's living in like Miami or something.
he's got a family.
Yeah.
He's just living his life. He doesn't want to be Santa either.
Yeah, didn't he try and convince him to be Santa?
And he was like, I got kids. He's like, I'm
Charlie
good.
was like, nah, we're good, man. Like,
And I love how Chris is like in the sleigh when they're flying. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm up here. And he like swallows a bug, and he's like, let's see what else I got. Oh, I love the part where they like turn the Easter bunny back, and they're like, "Oh, you did it!" And she's like, "Yeah, by the way, I can like understand bunnies." And I learned some new words that I'm not gonna say. And I was like, "Well, played by Tracy Morgan, so you definitely heard some words." I thought the prom scene was a little weird because, like, how'd you get Riley back? Like, she was like, "No, I hate you," and but I guess that's love.
Well, didn't she say something like, "Well, your dad is Santa," and he was pretty convincing, or something like that?
Maybe I missed that. And
I think she said something like that.
I love how like one of the last scenes, the lady turns around to like Scott and his wife. She's like, "Who are you guys supposed to be?" And she's like, "We're protectors of the North Pole." And she's like, she's like so disgusted with that answer.
Yeah.
And
Gavin commented he didn't tell his wife his dad was Santa, Charlie. Yeah. She's like, what? She's who? And then Gavin said, yeah, she said that. Yeah, so about Santa being convincing,
Yeah, so I mean, I thought overall it was great. I personally enjoyed this season a lot better. I know other people will say season 1 was better.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it wasn't bad. Like,
I just liked the story. I think I was more shocked by who Magnus was played by. I think they had more funnier like moments, and I love Gabriel Iglesias because
he's hilarious.
Latino, and he's funny.
He's Gabriel
from episode from the 6th episode, the very beginning. How did Santa and Carol go to Chicago? Because the guy his security closed the vortex.
He was already there, I think, didn't he?
No, because they closed the vortex, so how he couldn't get back to the Chicago. So he had to go through. Of course, Santa has a backup. They went through the mailing system. Genius.
That was wild. Yeah, because remember they found out that like if you send letters, because remember Magnus had Olga write a letter to the North Pole because they were trying to get it back.
Yeah.
That was crazy too. I mean, it was really well done. Honestly, I can say that it was well done. It's not like, besides like the opening credits, which are super trippy. Like when I first saw it in season 1, I was like, this is gonna tank.
Yeah, I never thought they'd get a season 2, but but I believe it wasn't long after season 1 they got renewed.
Yeah, it was
like it was quick.
Yeah, and of course Tim Allen has to go between being like regular Tim Allen to Santa Tim Allen to regular. He's always changing. Like every time this man gets stressed out, he turns back into like himself. and it has to regrow back into Santa.
Yeah.
Um,
Gavin agrees with you. Season 2 was better than season 1.
I think it's because of like the different people that played in it. Like I said, Eric Stone Street, amazing actor in this. Like I'm still shocked that it's him. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I just visualize Modern Family him and like this, and I'm like, what a fantastic actor to be able to like change between those two different characters.
For sure, yeah. So, do we think it gets renewed for season 3?
I don't think so.
Maybe not yet. I mean,
it might be a little bit. I don't think they're gonna do it right away.
No.
I read the producer, one of the producers, I don't remember who it was. He said they're pretty confident they're gonna get renewed.
I just hope they don't overdo themselves because, like, I feel like we're on a really good path right now.
Yeah.
Like, I hope we don't, like, the third movie. Like, I hope we don't tank right now.
Yeah, for sure. It says season. I'm looking up the Santa Claus this season 3. So yeah, season 3 gets an exciting update from producer. Tim Allen, I remember saying, if they get renewed, he wants to take it more like a sci-fi route, which I don't know how that would work.
See, that's what I'm saying. Getting a little too creative.
I don't know. That would be weird to me. I don't know what they could possibly do. But if this is the end of it, the coffee girl, and she was just like, I'm just trying to do my job. Yeah, it's a good point. Says a good shot. TBH, it already is sci-fi. I mean, yeah, in a way.
Yeah. But it could be more. Like, they could be shooting lasers. Like, I just think about Star Wars. Like Yoda's in the back, like, delivering presents. They're like, they're doing the Falcon.
Yeah, for sure. So, do we have anything else we want to add to the Santa Clauses season 2?
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay.
End of stream. No, of course you can. Go ahead.
Do you think that, like, if they kept this going, that Cal would eventually be Santa? Like, they would move on? Like, or do you think Sandra might take over? Because she's showing a lot. Even though her character was crazy, she's got a lot more, like, ability.
Yeah.
Like I said, La Befana is a form of Santa Claus. So what do you think?
I could see, I mean, it's supposed to be Cal, but if you want to get technical,
but in
Sandra is blood, literally and figuratively, in real life and in the Santa Claus's universe. It's interesting, yeah. I could see. I don't know if they would make more movies out of it. Maybe. Well, I mean, I could definitely see them doing it. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, Tim Allen is 70. How much more longer can he do this? How much more longer does he want to do this?
What about
look at Harrison Ford, though. He's still going.
It's true, yeah. And then Gavin said would love Magnus Antis just being said. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. Right. I would.
Like a naughty Santa.
He did invent coal, so.
Magnus was phenomenal. So if he comes back for season 3, if we get a season 3, I don't think anyone would question it.
You don't think they'll just like fast forward and like Noel and Betty, or just take over? Because it's obvious. Cal doesn't want to be it. I mean,
he also just wants to be 18. So like, I think anything could probably go. Like, it'd be interesting to see if they decided to explore that option a little more. Because
I mean,
Scott's like, I'm ready. I'm done. Like, he's so done already. Which,
like you said, it should probably take a few years, but you can always just do a time jump. It's not like
So we did go like from one episode to the next, and it was like 3 months later.
Yeah, because like season 1 came out last year. Season 2 came out this year, so they were moving with this.
They definitely.
But then again, season 3 hasn't been renewed yet, so I don't know how that schedule would work.
I don't know.
Probably take a long time.
I definitely have to say though, I mean, overall they've done well. This is like a series that I could be like, okay, they really did good. It still has that magical feeling. At the end they still have like those heart to hearts with their kids.
Yeah,
it's still like a family friendly TV show that followed the movie. So I think I think it was done really well, and I hope if they continue that it continues to be well, and they don't start getting super creative like Disney likes to do.
Yeah.
I would actually like to see Magnus in the MCU world. To be
Oh
honest,
God. Oh God.
I would actually enjoy probably seeing him in like the next Thor movie. Like, could you imagine them
I
together?
can see.
He tries to catch the hammer and it goes right to Thor, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, my fault."
They're Stone Streets now in Marvel.
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty epic. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
That would be an awesome crossover. I would love that.
It would be
Yeah.
pretty cool, and I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
But all right. I got nothing else. You guys got anything else?
anything?
Did you tell Gavin I thought I saw him at Barnes and Noble?
Here we go.
Yes, I did, and he said I should have messed with you and been like, "Yeah, that was him."
I was gonna go up to him, but then I turned the other way and went to the bathroom. It looked splitting image, beard, sweatpants, ski cap, everything.
Anyway,
I was gonna see. This is definitely Gavin. Good thing I didn't, because I don't think it was him.
Yeah, good thing you really didn't go up to him.
I don't
That
think
could have been very weird.
Yeah, but
I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
First of all, thanks for having me back again.
Of course, second time this year. You're the first repeat guest, I believe.
No, I think.
Wait, no, are you? No, I don't think so. Maybe not.
yeah.
Well, to do a full stream, yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, look,
Gavin said you should have.
like,
yeah, cool out of myself.
like,
Thanks for joining me, guys.
and like I did the last time I was here, I would like to say, if anyone's watching, Bobby is still single and ready to mingle. So please reach out to him. And do you want to end this with that famous song that he sings?
My stepmother wants to boil me. My stepmother wants to boil me.
And a happy New Year.
Happy New Year. But yes,
At least not be done.
this is the last time I will see you all before Christmas. I might see you all one more time before the New Year. We got to figure that out. Gavin said, "Ooh la la." Oh God, Gavin. Yes, I might see you all on stream one more time before the year ends. I gotta figure that out. But this is definitely the last time you will see me on stream before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you to my guests for joining me. And I am Bobby from Bobby's Breakdowns, and we will see you next time, folks. Later.
See you at Grandma.
Yes.